Hello all and welcome back to another Hyper Blues Top Lists. Of sorts anyway. This video is actually going to contain several lists actually, but let me explain what I'm thinking here. I've noticed an interesting phenomenon with regards to gaming secrets discussed on the internet. Different topics seem to be discussed in cycles, and the focus seems to shift a lot. Nowadays, people seem very interested in topics like in-game secrets, to game development tidbits, to other fun topics such as Easter eggs. I feel like, as time moves on and focus shifts to other subjects, that we forget about things that were discussed in the past. Case in point, one of my favorite things to do back in the day was to put PS1 game discs into my CD player and see what would happen. For all you youngins, music used to come in a variety of physical formats and sold in stores. Those physical formats included CDs, cassettes, and even vinyl records. Regardless of tech that may not be widely used anymore, I have over 1,500 games, and 839 of those titles are CD-based. I always wondered what could be hidden on all these games, if anything at all. For a brief perspective, from my view, at what started this craze was actually a golf game by the name of Tiger Woods 99 PGA Golf Tour. Crazy to think that that game would hold one of the craziest Easter eggs in history, but it is one of the most famous examples of what I'm referring to here. Tiger Woods 99 PGA Golf Tour contained a South Park short that was put on the disc by an employee at EA. Granted, the South Park video was a .dat file, so one needed software able to play that file. Apparently QuickTime could play it back in the day, but I'm not sure what codecs were used. What got me initially looking through game discs back in the day was actually Blockbuster Video. Now, kids, Blockbuster Video was a place where one could rent games and movies for a 5-day period. They are unfortunately no longer around. Defunct stores aside, I once rented Dead or Alive for the PlayStation 1, and the back of the Blockbuster case actually had the recommendation to put the disc in your CD-ROM drive to find some hidden wallpapers. Now, kids, a CD-ROM drive is something that computers used to have. I know, the joke has run its course. In any case, hearing that there were hidden pictures in the game disc was a new experience for me. They weren't necessarily the first Easter egg I found, but they were pretty cool. Speaking of, this is probably the biggest Easter egg hunt I've undertaken. The goal of this search is to find which game discs feature unique audio files, a full soundtrack, hidden pictures, and which ones contain hidden videos. I'm also going to take a look at some games that contain other hidden gems, and I'll explain more on that in a bit. Quick caveat before I get started though, while I do have a lot of disc-based media, a lot of them couldn't actually be read in my CD-ROM drive. I guess I need a more advanced drive to read Blu-ray discs, and I don't have the appropriate drivers to read others. So there are some game discs from certain platforms that just wouldn't read at all. That being said, this video is going to focus on the PlayStation 1 games, PlayStation 2 games, Sega CD games, TurboGrafx CD games, CD TV games, and PC games from my collection. So with all that, I'm only currently putting my game discs in my laptop CD-ROM drive to see what's on them. If the disc isn't recognized by my CD-ROM drive, I put it aside for a later episode. Basically, I'm limiting my search by A, not downloading or purchasing any software to view the contents of these discs, and B, I'm not purchasing any additional equipment like an external Blu-ray disc drive. So this will limit what I can currently view, but that's okay. I'd be at this forever otherwise, and I wanted to put out a video on some of the things I found. So here's a quick recap at what I'll discuss in today's video. I'll discuss game discs that contain a large, full soundtrack, basically a soundtrack with over 20 songs. I'll also discuss game discs that have some unique hidden audio found on the disc itself, and also some game discs with some unique CD playback. I'm also going to talk about game discs with hidden photos on them. I'm going to tackle game discs with other hidden goodies, and again, I'll explain more of what that is when I get to that section. And finally, game discs with hidden videos. Quick spoiler before I get started, I didn't find anything neat like a South Park video, but the files I found were pretty cool. To me at least. Also, mind you, these lists are based on my collection, so I won't add anything from games that I don't own. That being said, let's start with my top 13 hidden game soundtracks. For this list, I'm going to start with the game disc that has the least amount of songs and work my way up to the one that has the most. Quick aside, the music you're hearing now was what I found on these discs. So, up first at number 13 is Pac-Man World for the PlayStation 1. Ah, Pac-Man's first 3D action platformer. This game took Pac-Man to new heights and spawned some sequels and spin-offs. Those that love Pac-Man's soundtrack will be happy to know that there are 21 Pac-tastic tracks for players to listen to when the Pac-Man World PS1 disc is put into a CD player. That's a lot to unpack. Oh, whatever. It's a good start to the soundtrack list, so let's move on. Up next in number 12 is Lemmings 3D for the PlayStation 1. Another game that takes a classic 2D game and introduces another dimension. Lemmings 3D was a very well-received puzzle game at the time of its release and is beloved by many. Developers of Lemmings 3D put 23 tracks onto the PlayStation 1 disc for lovers of Lemmings to listen to. Again, let me tell you, this is an awesome surprise. Who keeps booing me? Okay, in any case, up next in number 11 is Silhouette Mirage for the PlayStation 1. Silhouette Mirage is a fun side-scrolling platformer developed by Treasure and published by Working Designs for North America. Treasure is a fantastic developer that is known for Gunstar Heroes, Dynamite Headdy, Mischief Makers, and one of my favorites, McDonald's Treasure Land Adventure. Working Designs localized tons of Japanese games for the American audience. They're known for publishing the Lunar games in North America. In fact, a trailer for Lunar 2 Eternal Blue can be accessed in the Silhouette Mirage game. Now that's pretty cool for in-game secrets, but what about the songs? Silhouette Mirage for the PlayStation 1 has 25 tracks for players to listen to. Like the developer's namesake, Silhouette Mirage does contain a lot of hidden treasures. Up next to number 10 is It Came From the Desert for the TurboGrafx 16 or PC Engine. It Came From the Desert for the TurboGrafx CD or PC Engine is a fever dream made playable. And while I said that jokingly for The Town with No Name in my review of that game, I am being dead serious for this game.
Where'd you think you were going, Lincoln? California? I hear you've been nosing around out in Borax. Who sent you out there? A friend of yours? An old crackpot doc? You think you got this thing all figured out, don't you? Figure this out, smartass. Don't kill him yet.
It Came From the Desert is a throwback to 50s horror films, along with the original game that this one is based on, which is also called It Came From the Desert. This is certainly a unique game, but what about its soundtrack? While I couldn't explore the contents of this disc, I did find that the disc contains 25 tracks to listen to, including Sea of Love. Players of this game know how much this song is played in-game, so it's cool that it's available to listen to. I won't be playing it here though, just in case it gets flagged by YouTube. YouTube or not, I'm loving how many songs are available to listen to when It Came From the Desert. Up next, and number 9, Fighting Force for the PlayStation 1. Fighting Force is a 3D beat-em-up that was met with mixed reviews. I always called it a 3D Streets of Rage, which is ironic because Core Design, the developers, pitched this as a sequel to the Streets of Rage series. It's fun for what it is, but how many tracks does my PS1 disc contain? Well, the Fighting Force PS1 disc is another disc that contains 25 songs for players to rock out to. It may have been met with mediocre reviews, but this Fighting Force disc did manage to beat a few others on the list. Let's move on. Number 8 is Excalibur 2555 AD for the PlayStation 1. Move over, Tomb Raider and Lara Croft. Excalibur 2555 AD and Beth are here for your popularity and spotlight. While I could do a whole video on this fact alone, I'm here for the soundtrack. Excalibur 2555 AD has a 26-track listing, so while the game was certainly a flop, and it didn't raid higher on this list, it does make up for it with a lengthy soundtrack. Oh well. Number 7 is The Secret of Monkey Island for the Sega CD. The Secret of Monkey Island doesn't need much introduction. It's a highly regarded game that has been released for multiple platforms, including modern systems. Okay, well, the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 anyway. The cool thing is, the Sega CD version of The Secret of Monkey Island boasts 26 tracks for the players to listen to. Looks like this secret has been found. Okay, moving on. Number 6 is Dead or Alive for the PlayStation 1. Dead or Alive is what started this hunt, and it's also the gift that keeps on giving. Even though this game series is mostly known for scantily clad women playing volleyball, the series did start off as a fighting game that was pretty successful. Heck, it was successful enough to get its own movie adaptation. In any case, moving on. The PlayStation 1 Dead or Alive game features 28 tracks. Number 5 is Time Crisis for the PlayStation 1. If you enjoy railgun shooters, then you may enjoy this title. Time Crisis was unique in that it allowed players to duck behind objects for cover. In fact, the arcade cabinet had a pedal that actually performed this action for the player. You step on the pedal and you come out from hiding. The PlayStation 1 version, had different methods. Speaking of the PlayStation 1 game, the Time Crisis PlayStation 1 disc features 32 awesome tracks to listen to. Nothing off the rails about this experience, I'll tell you that. Up next, and number 4 is Breakout for the PlayStation 1. Breakout for the PlayStation 1 was a revamped version of the 1976 arcade classic by the same name. It's a decent remake and just as fun as the original. Lovers of Breakout will be happy to hear that the PlayStation 1 disc contains 48 tracks to listen to. Honestly, just makes a good game even better. It certainly is a breakout when compared to these other discs. Up next, and number 3 is Tetris Plus for the PlayStation 1. Good old Tetris. Everyone loves Tetris, so I think I'll skip the explanation on that. However, Tetris Plus not only had classic gameplay, but also had a unique play mode called Puzzle Mode, where the player had to clear a prearranged puzzle in a set time limit. It's a fun game, and the PlayStation 1 disc contains 50 songs to listen to. Honestly, everything about this game is a plus. It's a fun game with a plussed up hidden soundtrack. Number 2 is Tomb Raider for the PlayStation 1. Remember how I said Excalibur 2555 AD at least had a long soundtrack going for it? Well, it fails to match Tomb Raider again. Bummer for them, I guess, but moving on. I feel like Tomb Raider needs no introduction either, but for gamers that don't know, Tomb Raider is a third-person action platformer that centers around the exploits of Lara Croft. Lara Croft is a treasure hunter that packs some serious heat and front-loaded anvils. And that one goes out for the 2 or 3 nerds who watched Navigator at some point in their lives. In any case, this classic game features 55 tracks for players to listen to after they've taken a break from treasure hunting. Granted, a lot of these audio files are kind of short, and there are also audio clips of dialogue from the game, but it's still an awesome track list nonetheless. Well, luckily, treasure hunters of the nerdy variety needn't look too hard for these hidden treasures. And speaking of more Tomb Raider, up next and number 1 is Tomb Raider 2 for the PlayStation 1. Tomb Raider 2 features 60 tracks for the players to listen to when they're taking a break from gaming. That's quite an impressive track listing if I do say so myself. So many hidden treasures and amazing songs to be found. Not sure what happened to Tomb Raider 3 though. That game didn't have any CD playback. Oh well. Again, these 60 tracks also contain short sound clips and dialogue that's used within the game. Still, the track list is 60, so I'm counting it. So that's it for the hidden soundtracks portions of this video. Now for something similar. Next up is the top 9 game discs that have special hidden audio for the player to find. Quick note, I do have some PS1 discs that contain dialogue from the game that is playable when the disc is loaded in a CD player. That being said, I just mentioned that Tomb Raiders 1 and 2 had hidden dialogue on the disc, so I'm not going to count either of those on this list, since I already discussed them in the soundtrack section. So just think of Tomb Raider 1 and 2 as number 10 and 11. First up is Official PlayStation Magazine Demo number 77 for the PlayStation 2. I feel like demo discs should contain tons of hidden content given how many different games and trailers are featured on them. Surprisingly, there really isn't much. Official PlayStation Magazine Demo Disc number 77 does have a hidden song on the disc though. PlayStation 2 games don't really play music in the CD player like PlayStation 1 discs do, so sometimes the soundtrack or audio files are hidden on the disc itself when searching through the file folder structure. The song I found on this disc is called kingsofl.asf, and I found it in the FIFA demo folder. FIFA 2004 featured music from Kings of Leon, which is what Kings of L stood for. The song that was featured is Red Morning Light. Again, I'm not going to play this song due to YouTube. So we've scored our first goal, let's move on to the next one. Number 8 is Lunar Silver Star Story Complete for the PlayStation 1. This is actually a favorite of mine. Lunar Silver Star Story Complete came in a big box set if you bought the game new. The box set included a full soundtrack with it, so the game disc itself doesn't feature anything like a soundtrack. Instead, it contained a hidden song. This song is the Dragon song sung or hummed by Luna and accompanied by Alex on the ocarina. It's a fantastic song for a fantastic game such as Lunar. I'm just glad that the developers added the song to the game disc since it wasn't on the soundtrack. Moving on to number 7, we have the official PlayStation Magazine Demo Disc number 25 for the PlayStation 1. The 25th official PlayStation Magazine demo contains something a little strange. This disc features 14 songs when played in a CD player, which is why it didn't appear on my hidden soundtrack list. But that's not the strange part. Demo number 25 featured Pac-Man World, and the songs that are played in the CD player are very Pac-Man inspired. There are 8 different versions of the Pac-Man theme, which you're listening to now. I honestly love this, and other fans of Pac-Man may enjoy this as Waka Waka Well. Boo. Oh shush, I haven't done a stupid joke in a while. Regardless, I'm not sure why there's so many different versions of the same song, but hey, I like it. Number 6 is Psycho Killer for the CD-TV. I'll give a little warning ahead of time for this. This one's a little bland. No, just like the game itself. If you were to put the Psycho Killer disc inside of a CD player, you'll find that it contains all 2 songs from the soundtrack. Again, it's really nothing too inspiring, but I really do like the jazz track that the developers use, so I figured I would add this to the list. If you'd like to hear said jazz track, I've uploaded it to my channel. The link is in the description. Number 5 is Nightmare Creatures for the PlayStation 1. So, quick confession here, I've never played Nightmare Creatures. This game seems right up my alley, but I missed it when I was younger. What is cool about this disc though is the fact that it contains 15 dialogue tracks from the game when played in the CD player. Nothing too nightmarish about that. Let's move on. Number 4 is Darkseid 2 for the PC. It can't be a Hyperblue list without trying to shoehorn Darkseid 1 or 2 into it. That being said, Darkseid 2 is a badly programmed game. Don't take my word for it though, go watch my Let's Play. In any case, the disc is also a mess. Audio and video files were stored in a folder on the disc and are playable if you search it. There are 48 MIDI files to listen to, so if you love Darkseid 2 like I do, then you'll love this. One might even say you'll have so much fun it'll make your head spin.
Hey, you missed, pal!
Up next is number 3, Alien Hominid for the PlayStation 2. Speaking of audio found in folders on the disc, Alien Hominid's full soundtrack is located on the PS2 disc. All of the files are .wav files, so they should work with most media players. There are 37 tracks in all between 2 music folders. Alien Hominid is a game I should really play for the channel. It started out as a Flash game, so it's kind of perfect for me in a way. In any case, number 2 is Black and White for the PC. Black and White is an interesting sim game where you play as God. Whether you play as a benevolent or spiteful God, though, is up to you. It's a neat game that I do recommend. As for hidden content, Black and White actually has a lot of hidden content on its discs. One cool thing is that its second disc features a folder containing 18 outtakes for the players to listen to and enjoy. And you know, they're actually pretty funny too. So, Black and White is an enjoyable game with enjoyable extras. Speaking of outtakes though, Number 1 is The Town with No Name for the CD-TV. Like Darkseid 1 and 2, I have to shoehorn in The Town with No Name where I can. Now, those that are subscribed to my channel probably saw these several months ago. I'm putting this at number 1 really only because I like Town with No Name so much. If you were to put the Town with No Name CD-TV disc into a CD player, then you would be treated to 2 script readings. The first being a script reading for The Town with No Name, and the second being a script reading for Animals in Motion. The Town with No Name script reading even includes outtakes. Animals in Motion, though, well, it's read straight with no outtakes, if my memory serves me correctly. It's a shame, though. One more outtake and it would have made Animals in Motion more memorable. So that's it for hidden audio. I'm actually surprised at some of the content that I found. I love that there were script readings and outtakes, especially for one of my favorite games. Let's keep this video rolling though. Next up is my top 5 games with hidden pictures on the disc. Before I begin, I'd like to note that I own quite a few games that have some sort of in-game art assets on the disc. So with that in mind, I'm limiting my selection of those types of games to 2 because I think that these 2 had the most interesting assets of the bunch. All that said, I have 5 games in total to discuss, so let's discuss them. First up at number 5, official PlayStation Magazine demo disc number 65 for the PlayStation 2. This disc features several notable game demos including Dark Cloud 2, Ratchet & Clank, and Black and Bruised. It also has a pretty cool trailer for Grand Theft Auto Vice City. In any case though, speaking of Black and Bruised, this demo disc contains a few screenshots taken from said game. It looks like a couple of action shots, and they honestly could make a pretty cool desktop wallpaper, if you're into this game that is. The cool part about these pictures, they don't seem to appear in the demo at all. I don't have the Black and Bruised game though, so I can't confirm if these pictures are on that disc or not. Oh well, maybe one day. Up next at number 4 is official PlayStation Magazine demo disc number 93 for the PlayStation 2. This demo features less interesting playable demos, in my opinion, but it does have some awesome trailers. The notable playable demos include a demo of Madagascar and LEGO Star Wars. I say Madagascar is only memorable because the folder on the disc contains 3 picture files. All 3 of these images correlate with various scenes from the demo, such as the loading screen and images that appear before and after the player is done with the demo itself. I know it isn't necessarily earth-shattering, but Demo 65 and 93 are the only 2 demos I have, out of like 50, that has these type of images. I'll be sure to come back with more as I purchase more demos down the line, but for now, these 2 are the cream of the crop. Number 3 is Black and White for the PC. I already mentioned that Black and White had a bunch of cool things hidden on the disc. One neat thing is a folder full of wallpapers, promotional art for Black and White 2, and concept art of the creatures for the player to find. The creators of Black and White certainly were benevolent. Here are some of the wallpapers and concept art for your enjoyment. Moving on, number 2 is The Animals for the Sega CD. There is a game on the Sega CD they call The Animals, and it's got a hidden picture to discuss. So let's discuss it now. Okay, sorry about that. Honestly, that intro is just because I've never played The Animals, so I have no idea what this game is about. I can say, though, that there is a hidden photo on the disc. There's a BMP file called team.bmp that shows what I believe to be the developers of the game. There's another file by the same name, so I assume the picture is referenced in the game in one way or the other. Hopefully I get to play it and find out one day. In any case, finally, we have Dead or Alive for the PlayStation 1. I mean, how could you not see this coming? Dead or Alive has a great hidden soundtrack, but, like I mentioned before, it's also what started this Easter egg hunt. There's a folder on the disc called Omake, or Omake I guess, and it contains 22 pictures for the players to see. Here are all those pictures for your enjoyment. One interesting note about the images I just showed you, it appears that all or most of these images are screenshots of various scenes from the intro cinematic. I still honestly think this is really cool, and I do wish more developers had done this back in the past. Oh well. Now let's talk about something a little different. I found files on some of my game discs that really didn't fit any category. These files range from documents and text files, screensavers, and much more. Without further ado, here are my top 9 game discs with an odd file on it. First up at number 9 is The Sims Deluxe Edition for the PC. I'm not the biggest fan of The Sims. I just could never get into the game series. I can definitely see the appeal, but it just isn't for me. In any case, here's the first oddity. The Sims Deluxe Edition has a .exe file that will install AOL for its users. It honestly sounds like a bit of a downgrade to me, but to each their own. I'm honestly not about to try out the executable, mostly because I don't want to give the folks at AOL false hope that someone still wants to use their internet service. Next up at number 8 is Darkseed for the PC. Now, this one should have been in the hidden audio section because, well, it's hidden audio content, but the name of one file made me push it to this list. The audio track you're currently listening to is called Mindfuck. That name just really made me laugh, so I wanted to share it. It's a funny name for a fun game. It may give some players headaches, though.
My head is killing me.
Up next in number 7 is Psycho Killer for the CD-TV. More Psycho Killer! But this is it for the game, though. The CD-TV disc hides 2 interesting Word documents for players to find. One file describes the changelog for the game. Well, a game anyway. Reading the document reveals it isn't even for the game Psycho Killer. It's actually a changelog for something called Dune. I'm not entirely sure if Dune is related to the David Lynch film from 1984 or the 1992 DOS Amiga game. Probably neither, actually, but anyway. I can't actually find much on online entertainment. Moby Games says that the company only released 13 games, 2 of which are Town with No Name and Psycho Killer. And, of course, none of those games are called Dune. Maybe Dune was a codename for Psycho Killer at one point? I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to look into this more. I guess I could call the number that's listed in the document. The other document that's on the disk is something that describes a program called Kill Virus, which honestly sounds like something from the Arise games I've played. Alright, in any case, time to move on. Up next in number 6, Black and White for the PC. Again. More Black and White. Black and White is a treasure trove of hidden content, and they really give you your money's worth. What makes this find stand out is the fact that there are several hidden documents scattered on both of the game discs. Some of those documents include previews or strategy guides for the main game and or expansion pack, Creature Island. There's also a document that describes how the developers made Black and White. I honestly wish I knew about the strategy guide back in the day. I might have actually finished the game. I love having a strategy guide when I play the game, and the fact that one is included with the purchase of the game is honestly amazing. The amount of detail that the developers put into this game is absolutely amazing. And speaking of, number 5 is Black and White again. Again, treasure trove. Black and White also gives players access to a Black and White 2 screensaver. I couldn't get the screensaver to work, but I'm guessing it'll feature pictures that I showed in the previous section. Number 4 is The Beast Within for the PC. The Beast Within is a game from the Gabriel Knight series, which is honestly a series that I really need to play. That being said, I don't have much to say about the game. I did, however, find some screensavers hidden on the disc. I'm not sure if these screensavers play if the game goes idle or if they can be installed, since, I couldn't install it on my computer, but the files are there. Speaking of screensavers, I've got one more screensaver to talk about, so number 3 is Marvel vs. Capcom for the PlayStation 1. I was bummed out that there wasn't much to be found on the Marvel vs. Capcom PlayStation 1 disc. It's a great game, and I was hoping for a soundtrack or some hidden pictures. Unfortunately, I didn't find any of that. I did, however, find several screensaver files. Now, again, I couldn't get any to install on my laptop, so, like before, I'm not sure if it's compatible or not. Who knows though, maybe they are compatible with older versions of Windows. Well, I'll have to try it on a virtual machine one day. I also don't believe that Marvel vs. Capcom has an in-game screensaver either. Well, at least I've never seen a screensaver in all of my years of playing it. I did try it again recently and gave it 20 minutes to pop up, and, well, it didn't. Again, I'll try to install it on a virtual machine one day. Up next in number 2 is Quest for Code for the PC. From what I gather, Quest for Code is a game for asthmatics, and I'm not sure if I should feel targeted by that or not. Regardless, the game actually features a lot of big actors, for 2002 at least. That list of actors includes Glenn Close, Jeff Goldblum, Cuba Gooding Jr., Shaq, Gwyneth Paltrow, and much more. Talk about some big-name actors in video games. Okay, anyway, back to the main topic. There is a hidden Word document on the disk. That document contains tidbits on asthma. Those tidbits include identifying asthma triggers, preventing asthma attacks, and how to manage your life with asthma. I guess that's a good thing to have. Makes me wonder if it's even worth playing the game when the tips were available on the disc. I also feel like I really should play the game in general, though. It looks bizarre and right up my alley. Anyway, number 1 is the official PlayStation Magazine demo disc number 71. Unlike other demos from this video, the official PlayStation Magazine demo number 71 contains something I haven't encountered on any other disc. That special something was actually a few Microsoft Outlook files. Well, kind of. I found a lot of files that were identified as .pst files, which are called personal storage tables and are used to store emails, calendar events, and contacts in Microsoft Outlook. Now, I know I made the rule of not using any software to look up files on these disks, but I had to know if they would open. Luckily, I have Outlook on my laptop, which actually surprised me because I've never used it before. So I tried to load the PST file and it wouldn't load because it was read-only. So I turned off the read-only option and found nothing. Unfortunately, this isn't a supported file type. Now looking into this a little further, the game that these files are associated with is called Splashdown Rides Gone Wild. The file names give us a hint at what's going on here. With names like legal, load bar, and tips, these have got to be the assets. It's just weird because, well, like I said, this is the first time I've run into PST files. Normally, the files are .pss and not .pst. In fact, I can't find any info on .pst files for the PlayStation 2. Oh well, I thought it was a cool find. Maybe if I play around with them enough, I can get them to work in Outlook. I'm sure it'll just display a picture, but you never know. Alright, last but not least, let's get into my games that have hidden video content on them. Before I start, I'm going to break this down into a few categories. Some of my game discs contain game scenes from the main game, trailers, and unique videos. The discs with the game scenes far outweighed ones with other types of videos that I mentioned, so I'm going to limit how many of those types of games go on this list. With that out of the way, let's look at my top 10 game discs with video files hidden on them. Let's start with the gameplay footage category. Now, there are a lot of games that have gameplay footage on the disc itself. So, like I mentioned before, I'm going to limit how many I talk about, but I'm also going to limit it to the ones that I find interesting. First up at number 10 is Forever Kingdom for the PlayStation 2. Forever Kingdom is a From Software game for the PlayStation 2. It's a unique game in that you control a group of characters that share one health bar. If one character dies, they all die. It also has those early PS2 graphics that make you just shake your head. Either way, the entire intro cutscene is hidden on the disc itself. It doesn't play audio, at least not when I play it on my computer, but it's cool nonetheless. Number 9 is the official PlayStation Magazine demo disc number 65 for the PlayStation 2. Hey look, demo number 65 is back. I already mentioned the background on this demo and some neat pictures that were stored on the disc. The official PlayStation Magazine demo disc number 65 also contains some FMV scenes from the same boxing game, Black and Bruised. Now, the files on this disc are literally .fmv files. I managed to get these to work when I first found them, but I couldn't seem to get them to work this go around. So, I cheated. I used the program to convert the .fmv files to MP4, which is what you're seeing here. Now, like Forever Kingdom, these videos don't contain any audio, but it's still fun to watch and there's quite a few to choose from. It'll really knock you out. Number 8 is Trader's Gate for the PC. I honestly never heard of Trader's Gate prior to purchasing it from a thrift store, and I still haven't played it, but after viewing the video files on the disc, I really need to. The scenes are wacky and make me laugh, and it honestly makes me wonder if the rest of the game is like this. Probably not, but I'll have to check it out to see for myself. There are a ton of video files to watch, and it honestly makes me want to try out the game. In any case, number 7 is Darkseid 2 for the PC. I already mentioned how the game disc is a mess, but what I was saving for this section is the fact that all of the game animation and cutscenes are just loaded onto the disc for anyone to find. They're all .avi files too, so no one should have trouble playing them. In fact, I actually uploaded a lot of these videos back in the day, so you can find them in the playlist in the description if you're interested. It'll definitely explain everything. Number 6 is Aqua Teen Hunger Force Zombie Ninja Pro-Am for the PlayStation 2. Such a bizarre name for a game for such a bizarre show. Aqua Teen Hunger Force Zombie Ninja Pro-Am is a kart racer, golf game, and beat 'em up, all rolled into one game. Bet you didn't know something so epic existed, did you? One neat thing is that the game disc also contains all the FMV scenes from the game. These are unique though, as these actually have audio, so that's actually pretty awesome. It contains hidden videos that you can unlock in the game, which includes episodes and behind the scenes scenes. Pretty awesome in my book. Now I don't have to play the game to unlock them. Alright, number 5, Clock Tower 3 for the PlayStation 2. Clock Tower 3 is one of my favorites from the PlayStation 2 library, probably due to nostalgia, but still. It's a third-person action horror game, and is a pretty fun game when I played it back in the day. Clock Tower 3 is very cutscene heavy, and the disc contains 54 video files for the players to watch. That's a lot of videos. Unfortunately, the audio doesn't play, so that's a bummer. That's an awesome amount of video content in my book. Okay, now that the game footage is out of the way, let's look at the hidden trailers I found. Coming in at number 4 is The Sims Deluxe Edition for the PC. Back to The Sims. I already spoke about this before, so I won't repeat myself. The game disc not only contains an AOL software trial, but it also contains hidden trailers too. It contains trailers for The Sims Online and SimCity 4. I love trailers, if you couldn't tell from my uploads from this year. So, I think these are awesome. Speaking of trailers, number 3 is Black and White for the PC. And this will be the last time I mention Black and White. I know this dead horse is all but beaten, but I have more content to squeeze from this disc. Black and White has one trailer hidden on the disc. The trailer is for the Creature Island expansion pack. In addition to that, there are also 4 video files that are not trailers, but they are kind of gameplay related. I figured, let's mention them here. These 4 videos contain in-game animation for some of the creatures that you can obtain. It isn't much, but it is fun watching the animals dance around in a dark void. The developers of Black and White really gave people their money's worth, and that's really awesome in my book. I used to have Black and White too, but I don't anymore. I'll have to grab a copy to see if there are any hidden Easter eggs on that disc. I really hope they added as much content, if not more. Okay, now for the fun part. Here are some videos that are not gameplay or trailers. First up is Action Replay Ultimate Codes for the PlayStation 2. Subscribers to my channel may have seen these videos uploaded earlier this year. I'm sure these were meant to be found, but the Action Replay Ultimate Codes disc contains 3 videos on it. 2 are related to the features on the disc, and 1 is an ad for another Action Replay product. I know these are no South Park episode, but I still think they're neat. Speaking of neat, number 1 is Harvester for the PC. Harvester is a game that is hard to explain. It's a point-and-click mystery that includes violence and sex to try to make a point, I guess? The point is a little muddled, if there even is one. It's a game that I will absolutely tackle in the future, but for now, let's talk about the hidden video contained on the disc. The video I'm referring to is a short making of video that shows some behind the scenes and making of Harvester. Again, this video was uploaded to my channel, so check it out if you're interested. So that's all that I've found when just looking through the content on these discs. The next step will be to dig a little deeper and figure out how to view content on the other game discs that didn't load in my computer. Until then though, I hope you enjoyed this Easter egg hunt. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a happy and hyper New Year.